immigrants in the 1960s had come to a halt. Kind of the ability to absorb people coming into the labor market had become quite um, much more difficult, much more challenging. And there's another factor, the demographics. One thing that we see in the 1970s is that the amount of people pouring into the labor market had increased significantly. And that was compounded by the movement of people from the countryside to urban areas. So we had emergence of squatter communities and all the kind of destabilization and disruptiveness that takes place with the emergence of that kind of people who are moving into a system that is highly unsettled and cannot and that is incapable at that juncture of providing for their well-being. So he recognized that drastic changes had to take place in the society if the society was going to be able to maintain its democratic system and achieve a certain level of upward mobility. One thing about a democratic society is that it's almost nigh impossible to maintain stability if you don't have a high level of upward mobility. One thing that he tried to do was to tackle the unemployment problem. Tried to do that in terms of having the state becoming much more involved in creating employment, especially for people in the lower ranks of the division of labor. But I think its signal contribution as a revolutionary Democrat is one thing that he realized is that at that juncture in Jamaican society, only a small percentage of people were able to move from primary school education into high school education. And we know that in the modern society in which we live, that education is in fact the backbone to really achieving any kind of upward mobility, achieving any kind of decent income to maintain a middle class standard of living. So one of the things that he was quite instrumental in doing, and that has really been one of his lasting legacy, is in fact the transformation of the high school system to the point where almost every child in Jamaica has the opportunity now to go to enter into a high school system. One of the fascinating things about Jamaican life is that irrespective of one's class position, the poorest people in Jamaica are eager to see what schools their children got into, whether it was the PEP that have as the exam, or previously what it was before. Because getting in to the traditional high schools like Wolmer's, Kingston College, Immaculate, St. George's, St. Andrews, etc., is critical to upward mobility. So one of the problems that we have, that despite the fact that we have expanded educational opportunities in Jamaica, a lot of the non-traditional high schools do not have the same kind of educational outcomes. So a lot of folks get the opportunity to go to high school, but the graduation rates are not as impressive as they should be, and people are not emerging with the kind of skills that can function in the workplace. The other thing that he was very, very involved in is making certain that women got equal pay for equal work. So he was way ahead of the United States in clamoring there had to be gender equality. He was very much committed to the family, very much instrumental in the National Housing Trust. He really believed that having housing, having a roof over one's head was important to maintaining family togetherness. And of course, he outlawed this whole notion that the child who was born out of wedlock should be classified as a bastard. So he placed a lot of emphasis on the togetherness of the family, a lot of emphasis on women equality, as well as this commitment to higher educational opportunity. And he also placed a tremendous emphasis on literacy. The whole Jamal program which is quite fundamental to a democratic society of people making intelligent decisions at the polls as to who to vote for and who not to vote for. So therefore, domestic revolutionary Democrat and having an impact on Jamaican society and trying to create a far more socially just society. He in fact also brought about criminal justice reform. There were some programs that he introduced at the gun court where people were able to leave the gun court, go to the University of Technology, learn the necessary skills, come back home. And so that was quite innovative. I don't know how much of that still continues, but it shows you the vision of Michael Mann and the kind of society that he was trying to create. Now, we have to realize that societies tend to prefer the status quo. And when somebody comes on the scene that is trying to bring about transformation, there's always tremendous resistance. And in the 1970s, these were really tumultuous times, and it was tremendous resistance to the kinds of change that Michael Manley had introduced. He really articulated the notion of democratic socialism, which he thought was critical to bring about a certain amount of redistribution of wealth, a certain amount of social responsibility on the part of people who were wealthy in the society. But that brought about tremendous resistance. And in fact, one thing that we saw in the 70s was an exponential increase in political violence, tremendous intra-conflict, and tremendous interclass conflict. A lot of people fled the society in the 70s. Large numbers went to Canada, large numbers went to the United States. Some amounts of propaganda that there was no distinction between democratic socialism and communism. And of course, Manley's relationship with Fidel Castro really freaked out elements within the United States. And there were serious attempts to destabilize the society. And by 1980, the economy had tanked and he had lost his mandate to govern. Let me mention about Michael Manley as an internationalist. One thing that he insisted on, and of course, people write for their own time and see the world in terms of what they can envision as the possibilities at that time. So one thing that he insisted on, which I think is a linkage between his national vision and his international vision, that he was a firm believer in economic reliance, on self-reliance, and a commitment to economic independence, and he, as well as the social justice. But as an internationalist, he realized that there was this asymmetrical relationship between developed countries and developing countries. And much of his writings reflect that kind of understanding as how it was very much quite difficult for developing societies to accumulate social capital or to accumulate capital in order to bring about the transformation to industrialization. And he gave as an example that when you bought a tractor, the price of the tractor kept increasing while the price of sugar, which was an important export for Jamaica at the time, that the price of sugar was quite volatile. It kept fluctuating, especially in relationship to what had to be imported. So the balance between imports and exports was quite detrimental to developing society. And one of the things that he argued, and one of the reasons why he was quite instrumental in trying to build the non-aligned movement and in terms of trying to create a new international economic order, is to make certain that countries like Jamaica, other countries in the Caribbean, other developing countries would have a much better opportunity of accumulating capital rather than suffering from the sort of economic stagnation based upon this asymmetrical relationship between developing and developed countries. The other thing that he was also in the vanguard of is in terms of the anti-apartheid movement. One of the things that was quite, I wouldn't say detrimental, but was quite one could really be critical of the United States is that America was willing to coexist with the apartheid system in South Africa. I mean, that was quite clear under the Reagan administration and even before. And that's largely because America, even during the post-World War II, practiced a system of segregation, which was not really vanquished until 1964 with the Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act. But Manley was out in front at the United Nations, banning South Africa from participating in the Olympic Games, and in fact, isolating South Africa from
Okay. Okay.
This is where the Cuban troops played a critical role. It's not a battle that took place overnight. It's something that started from 1987. And in fact, that defeat of the South African military that had invaded Angola was not concluded until 1988 when they retreated back into South Africa and had suffered serious losses. And that led to the independence of Namibia and eventually the collapse of apartheid in South Africa and the rise of Mandela and the ANC in creating a far more democratic society in South Africa. So Manley was very much in the forefront of that sort of internationalist movement that even though he saw Jamaica as a small country, but a small country that could have an impact internationally in terms of what it fought for in terms of the United Nations and how it struggled in terms of non-aligned movement and the battles that it fought in terms of trying to make it a much more less exploitative relationship between developed and developing countries. That created a lot of schism within the developed world. Some felt that Jamaica should not have been in taking those kinds of positions internationally. But Manley saw those things in terms of principle, and he thought, irrespective of Jamaica's size, irrespective of the fact that the United States was exercising hegemony over the world, that Jamaica had the sovereign right to express itself, to articulate those views, and to fight for a far more socially just world. So let me conclude in terms of the legacy of Michael Manley. There's a question that there's no other political leader in the history of Jamaica that evokes more emotions than Michael Norman Manley. But there's nobody who has had a far more profound impact in raising the consciousness of Jamaicans in understanding the society in which they live, in recognizing that we couldn't continue to treat helpers in the sort of exploitative way that we had for, almost as a holdover from slavery, that the sort of class prejudice that prevailed in the society had to give way to a far more socially just society, one that was far more democratically conscious, one that recognized the dignity and the humanity of all the people who live in that society. We're far away from accomplishing that. And in fact, we still have serious problems in the society. But let me sort of make one, not necessarily a criticism, but the kind of world in which Michael Manley grew up. I think he saw the beginnings of the global economy. But one of the things that we see quite clearly now is that the globalization has become even irreversible, even though we have somebody like Trump talking about America first. But globalization has become irreversible. And one of the things that we have to realize in Jamaica, you cannot become self-reliant or economically independent from the rest of the world. We have become an integral part of the international global system. So we have to find ways in which we find niches within the global economy so that we can bring about a much better balance between imports and export so that we can expand the productive capabilities of Jamaican society to the point we can uplift the standard of living of the Jamaican society and create a far more inclusive society in which there are not as many people who are marginalized. And so therefore we can have a far better balance, reduce crime, and in fact develop the full potential of the Jamaican people. That is the world in which my company fought. And so as we celebrate what 96th birthday, we recognize that he really fought and really brought out the best in Jamaica. And I think based upon the writings that he had left, the legacy that he had in terms of his integrity, that we can learn a lot from the life and the contribution that Michael Manley has made to the people of Jamaica. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wilson. Come on, clap him, man. Clap him. I could sit at his feet for days.
Yes.
And just listen to him articulate with such this high level of knowledge. He's such an erudite man. But I also know him as a down-to-earth brother too, as a really irie man. So thank you so much. And guess what? I have a little secret, but I don't want anybody else to know. You know, we have the same birthday. So now we're gonna celebrate moving forward, August 29. Good people. He's frozen. He can't hear.
Yeah, I can hear.
You heard me? Yes. I just discovered that we have the same birthday.
That's wonderful, Adrian.
Yes, man. Yes. All right, we're gonna hear from. Thank you so much again, Dr. Wilson. We're gonna hear from our president of the Jamaica Progressive League, Miss Sadie Campbell.
Good evening. Good evening again. Good evening. How is everybody doing?
Good.
What a brilliant presentation.
Very good.
Okay, I just want to interject a little bit that we're having this double celebration as a continuation of the efforts and advocacy to improve the Bronx community.
We can't see her. We can't see her.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
It's a family celebration, people.
Okay. Can you see me now?
No, can we spotlight her, Miss Delia?
Okay, yeah.
Thanks.
And I'm still wearing my mask.
That's all right.
I'm wearing my mask. But I just want to interject a little bit between these brilliant celebrations. Okay, now we know that the league is in the location, or we're headquartered in the Bronx, and we have a location that we are intending to make it the a very important place in the history of the United States, because we're going to be presenting what we call our own village. Okay, so when you're entering the Bronx from the Westchester border, you're going to see "Welcome to Hopeful Village." And that is going to be coming in the near future. I know we have online, we have our Speaker of the House, Mrs. Honorable Carl Easty. So he knows that we're going to be having Hopeful Village pretty soon. And he's going to help us to have this location named Village. Another thing that I want to present this evening is that we've been asking for a memorial wall for the folks that we have lost in the COVID-19 pandemic this year. And we are trying to find a place where we can have a wall erected so we can have the names of most of those persons on this wall. Because remember, we did not get a chance, and their families did not get a chance to really celebrate the lives of these persons. So we need to have what we call a memorial wall. So we are going to be calling upon the leaders in this community, the elected officials to assist us in getting such
People are
a
calling
wall
from
erected.
places in the chat
We
room,
also will be
Maryland
continuing
and different
our
places.
advocacy. And as we ask for this intervention, we're going to have some more of our members speak out on some of the things that we are right now that is very, very concerning our community. And we have, there's going to be a presentation by a few of our members, as we say, and the first one that is going to be speaking on an issue very close to our hearts is Mrs. Delia Farquharson. Ms. Farquharson.
Thank you, Miss Sadie. And I'm really pleased to be here and to be a part of this celebration honoring the contributions of the Honorable Michael Manley, and also, celebrating the contributions, the legacy of the Jamaica Progressive League. But this year, 2020, has been unprecedented. We have, we are living through a pandemic, something that we have read about in the history books, but we've never experienced. And I think it's even our wildest imagination. And what we find is happening is that our level of wellness as a community, as individuals, and as a community is being significantly impacted by the pandemic. Dr. Cole is on, Sonia Cole is on, and Dr. Cole and I, for the last 6 years or so in Mount Vernon, which is part of the Hopeful Village because we're right next door, we have been celebrating Wellness Week Mount Vernon. This is something that we will continue despite the pandemic. But what we do is we acknowledge and teach our community about the 8 dimensions of wellness. And I'll just quickly spotlight the 8 dimensions, which are emotional, environmental, intellectual, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, and financial. And if we layered the impact and the effects of the pandemic on the well-being, we will find that every aspect of life, every aspect of wellness.
Just may I just interrupt? May I just interrupt, please? May I just interrupt? We're having a lot of feedback from, I guess we have a small audience there, Miss Sadie, and it's making it difficult for us to hear what Miss Delia is saying. It's very important information. So I don't know, or somebody's, could you mute everybody, please?
Okay, hold on.
Miss Delia, because we're not hearing. It's very important information you're giving.
Okay.
And if you could spotlight yourself, too, that would be very, very good.
Okay, Miss. Can you hear me? I don't know why my video is not working, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
But it's okay. I mean, I think, I'd rather not be on video. I don't want
We can hear. I can hear you.
Right. So I want to just continue. How do we mute everyone? Yeah, can you mute yourselves, please? Just, I promise I won't be long. I just wanted to really, for our community's sake, talk about the impact of COVID-19 and the impact, especially that it's having on our emotional health. And of course, everybody is having a difficult time because we are so isolated. Anxieties have been triggered, traumas have been triggered, depressive episodes have been triggered. Our emotional health is significantly impacted by what is going on. And so if we are to make it through this, wow. Hold on, let me see what just a moment. Let me just see if I can identify who's talking. Okay, I think I found the person, so I've muted them. So if we are to survive as a community, it is going to take collective effort. We are going to be dependent on each other to survive this. In terms of one, the Jamaica Ben organization, Cassandra talked a little bit before about how folks are taking advantage of food, but there are people still, as much food as we see being distributed, there are people still who don't have enough to eat. And so we are going to have to look out for each other and make sure that the neighbor next door, the old person who's not as mobile as we are, has something to eat. People who are losing their minds, and I mean literally losing their minds because of the isolation. And so we have to be really aware. We have to develop this cognizance about that. And it is going to take us collectively reaching out to each other. And it's going to be virtual or the telephone or writing a letter, right? It's going to sending a card. It is going to take us collectively working together to make it through this with our minds intact. And so that is what I want to remind us all, right? We're coming together in this arena, in the Zoom room, because under typical circumstances, we would be at one of the entertainment halls, hobnobbing and eating and, socializing together. But we don't have that. But here we are together, warts and all, because Miss Delia is not the most tech savvy, as you can all tell. But we are here, we are here celebrating, being educated, being enlightened, having the opportunity to be exposed to the brilliance of the Andreen Bonners of the world and the Basil Wilson of the world, because that is what it's going to take. So that's my message to all of you, that we commit to making sure that we're checking on each other, because sometimes we can present a face that seems okay, but we don't know what's behind that. And so let us bother to ask, how are you doing?
Yes.
Let us wait for the answer.
Yes.
Let us wait for, and let us not be judgmental. So I ask you guys to just reach out to each other, to check on each other, to ask how we're doing, to wait for the answer, and to let us, because we have so much resource in our community. We are resource rich, right? We've got talents and energy and time. So if somebody needs something, we'll be able to find it among us if we just look. And so that is my message to all of you, is that we bother to do that so that we can make it through this experience, and we will be better for it because we'll be a stronger community. God bless you all.
Oh, thank you so much. Snapper people. That is a serious call to action.
Yes.
And she's right. She's right. We get together and we get all dressed up. Because actually, although I'm in my house, I'm very dressed today, honey. But listen, I came here to work. I came here to get my assignment from Miss Delia, from Dr. Wilson, and all the other speakers who are going to speak. I just like to acknowledge some of the persons who have come into the room. My dear friend Pamela DeMont Sims, she's here with us. I also see that Dr. Bryant is here, and Judge Michelle Rodney is here, Sonia Cole. Just trying to go through here and just acknowledge Jose Richards, a very stalwart in our community. I call him my Garveyite teacher of Garvey. So I'm very happy to see everybody here, and let me hope you're taking notes and getting ready as soon as we leave here to take action and to recognize that the Jamaica Progressive League has been here for a very long time and that they are here to stay. But here's the deal. They need young people. They need the young people. I thank you, Miss Cassandra, for being there. I see you. She's doing a great job. She's mobilizing the young people to really strengthen the benevolent arm of this organization. And I want to thank you so much again, Miss Cassandra. You could have been doing all sorts of things, my dear, with your time, but you're helping out every week. So, all right. So we're going to move along with our program, and we don't want it to be just about talking. Again, we are looking for action. I see here at the program order, we have the Honorable Dr. Basil K. Bryan, and he's Ambassador and former Consul General of Jamaica in New York. Dr. Basil K. Bryan was appointed Jamaica's Consul General to New York on April 1st, 1998, with responsibility for 38 states, including the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Bermuda and Puerto Rico also fell under the jurisdiction of Consul General Basil K. Bryan. He's a consummate diplomat, and I agree with that. Dr. Bryant is an eloquent spokesperson for Jamaica and has successfully articulated Jamaica's interest in the United States, advocating to overseas Jamaicans the importance of supporting developments in Jamaica. A community-oriented person, Dr. Bryant's achievements had brought him numerous accolades and awards. These include the National Association of Jamaican and Supportive Organizations, the JASO, Lignum Vitae Award, and the Jamaica Progressive League's Vote for Outstanding Community Service. The mayor of the District of Columbia recognized Dr. Bryant's outstanding service with a Dr. Basil K. Bryant Day. Well, come on, give him a clap for that, clap him for that. There you go. Dr. Bryant has also received awards from the New York City Council. He is a recipient of the New York Carib News Marcus Garvey Bridge Builder Award. In 2002, he was a recipient of the Order of Distinction, the OD, from the government of Jamaica. Ambassador Bryant holds a PhD in African Studies, Economics, and International Relations, and a master's degree in Economic Development and Planning from Howard University, and was professor on the Faculty of Social Studies at that institution from 1981 to 1991. Dr. Bryant has authored several publications, including the text Social Science, Reading, and Workbook. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished, honored guests, Dr. Basil K. Bryan.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Yes.
Can hear you.
You can hear me.
Close the table, fine.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, good day to everyone. Good evening, and thank you very much, Ms. Bonner, for that wonderful introduction. I have been listening to the discussion, and I think I must say how pleased I am with what I hear taking place. And let me first of all congratulate the League and President Campbell for putting this on, because even though we are in this pandemic, we can still reach each other
through the agent of technology. And so congratulations, the Jamaica Progressive League on the 84th anniversary of the formation of this wonderful organization. Now, the league itself was actually the third major Jamaican organization to be established in the United States. And today, when we talk about a diaspora, the league has been pivotal in leading the way to the formation and celebration of a Jamaican diaspora. The first time we heard about a Jamaican organization was one that was founded in about 1917 called Jamaica Ben, the Jamaica Benevolent Society. And the Progressive League started in 1936, in September 1936. And what is important to note is that many of the formation members of the Progressive League were actually members of Jamaica Ben, that's the Jamaica Benevolent Association. And also what we found in research was that many of these members were also Garveyites. So in fact, we have one great celebration of the Jamaican diaspora, each going a separate way, but at the same time, coming together for different ways in which Jamaica could be celebrated and promoted. And so the league really, some would say, is an outgrowth of the Jamaica Ben and many of the original members. And curiously, the Marcus Garvey Universal Anthem was written by one of the original members of the Jamaica Progressive League, Benjamin Manley. So we have much to celebrate as we go forward. Now, when the league started, it started as an organization to bring the community together. You know, we are thinking back in the 1930s. We are through the Great Depression. The years of the 1930s were tough years. But the Jamaicans in New York were always in the forefront. What can they do for Jamaica? And when there was a problem in Jamaica, the league was at the forefront of bringing solutions. So as the league got more involved, then the feeling was that Jamaica needed to be an independent country. And so it was really the Progressive League with Jamaicans outside. We're talking about someone like Arnold Roberts. They started to agitate for self-government and national independence. And the league outlined some fundamental principles from the very beginning: universal adult suffrage and the removal of property qualifications for candidates for public office. The league advocated for the establishment and the rights of labor unions. The league undertook a study of the economic and social problems of the country in order to promote added reforms. The league promoted inter-Caribbean trade and commerce. The league, in terms of education in Jamaica, the league advocated for the teaching of history, geography, and the literature of Jamaica. Some would say that today, the education aspect is not being addressed in Jamaica. And in fact, today we mourn the loss of the first son of Marcus Messiah Garvey, Marcus Jr. And the league also wanted to motivate Jamaicans in the United States and elsewhere to reach back and celebrate, to help Jamaica in whatever way it can. So the league has been there from the very beginning. Now, if we look at the population of Jamaicans in the United States, we will see that while the population was growing very slowly up to about the 1950s and early 60s, it was through the agitation of the Jamaica Progressive League that the United States immigration reforms, a major reform took place in 1965. And that allowed a lot of Jamaicans and Caribbeans and other folks from the diaspora to migrate to the United States. And so we have to thank the League for that. And the lady who was the spirit, who spearheaded this movement was Beryl Henry, who lives in New York for a long time and actually passed away there. So today, as the League celebrates 84 years, we have much to be thankful for. I heard the comment that one of the issues that we are confronted with now is how do we motivate our young people, the younger generation, to hold on to the legacies that they have inherited. That is a monumental task, and that is what we have to work towards. And much of that has to do with our educational system. We need to remember as a people that we are resilient, we are assertive, we stand up for what is right, whether it is in Jamaica or throughout the world. Jamaica was one of the countries that led the fight for the abolition of the apartheid system in South Africa. And so we have much to celebrate, but we also have to remember that we have to pass on that baton. And that is what education is all about. And so, yes, I want to congratulate the League for the work it is doing. And remember that the longest journey begins with small steps. And so we move on, we celebrate, and we have to remember that as a people, we have to write our own history and learn to sing our own songs. I would like to answer any questions that you might have as we go along. I don't want to dominate all of this conversation.
Okay. All right. Call to action, people. Call to action. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Basil Bryant. You know, we're hearing a lot of names. We're hearing you throw a lot of names at us here. Beryl Henry. You know, it's very, very important that we know the history. So we have to document this. We really have to document this history. So what is being done to preserve this history, or to teach it somewhere, or develop coursework? I don't know. You know of anything in the works, Dr. Bryant, or anything?
Well, I made an attempt when I published my book, The Jamaicans, Children of God in the Promised Land. And all of these things were documented in that. And what I mentioned about the Marcus Garvey and, the link between one organization and another, because the Jamaican community in those days was one that realized that you either win together or lose separately. In other words, in unity, there lies strength. And these were not people who were highly, highly professional. You had a mix, professional, everyday worker, but everyone wanted to promote what was good and beneficial to the homeland, Jamaica. And so the League, if we go through, and there is a history of the League, and it's published, as I mentioned in my book, the League actually started in New York and was pivotal in the formation of the People's National Party in Jamaica. And in fact, Mr. A. Domingo, who lived in New York for a long time, he also went to Jamaica and was actually in the forefront of the formation of the People's National Party back there in 1938. So these are things that we have to pass on from generation. And that is why I say we have to promote that learning, you know, our educational system. As I mentioned, the Marcus Garvey, UNIA's anthem, was written by a member of the Progressive League.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What I'm writing now in the chat for everybody, I'm writing the title of Dr. Brian's book, The Jamaicans. You know, thank God for Google. We can find these things quickly. I think this needs to be a part of the library too, Miss Sadie. The Jamaican.
Well, I know a copy is at the Progressive League in New York.
Okay, good. Very good, very good. Brian, Basil Brian. So it's in the I'm writing it in the chat right now. Basil K-B-R-Y-A-N-T.
No T, no T.
Oh, Brian. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I see T on this thing here. I don't know.
No
I
T.
should know better, don't you? Okay. Excellent. All right. So take a note of that, young people. Write that down. Get that book. As a matter of fact, maybe we should, moving forward, we should have a book talk, because if we're going to get the young people mobilized to learn about these things, we should probably have book talks. It doesn't matter when the book was written. You know, this is new information for a lot of people, Dr. Brian. What do you think?
Yeah, and you know, lest we forget, that's the title of another book, actually outlining the history of the Jamaica Progressive League, lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Okay? Lest we forget. But right there in New York, there are many stalwarts, many are still alive, who have contributed to the development, the history and development of the Progressive League. Mr. Rodney, for example, he was the president for many years, and under his leadership, the league was able to establish a presence in real estate in Manhattan, which created problems, yes, but the point is, the league was able to establish a presence in Manhattan. And there were internal problems, of course, but we have to look beyond that, because we as a people have much to celebrate. As I said, if we unite, because in unity there is more strength.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Anybody have any other questions for Dr. Brian? Okay. All right. A little later on, we're going to hear from Mr. Carl Rodney, and I'm sure he's going to share information about the Jamaica Progressive League Library that is in his honor. And I'm sure a lot of these books, as Dr. Brian says, are deposited there. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Brian. And Dr. Brian should consider placing significant parts of the books on audio. If not, this is somebody writing in the chat now. Andreen, Dr. Brian should consider placing significant parts of the book on audio, if not already done, and recording some podcasts so the younger generation, see there, will access this information easily. Okay, this is, and interestingly enough, you said that the Jamaica Progressive League is a solutions organization.
Yes.
Here we are looking at the solutions. We're not just a talk shop. We are looking at solutions. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I see, Miss Adrian, I see that you have not lost your glitter as a speaker.
Thank you. I learned from you.
God bless you. God bless you.
And we miss you on this side of town as well.
Yes.
We miss you very much. Thank you so much.
I listen.
Okay, we're gonna move along.
Madam Chair Lady.
Yeah.
This is Dawn. I just was asking on the status of the library. How are people aware? More people in the community, are they aware that this information is available? Because it is so valid and should be playing a more significant role So that's my question.
Well,
Yeah.
I would ask Miss Sadie Campbell to speak to that more than I can. I am very much aware. My own book is there too. It's there, and another one is on its way there too. But I suppose that Mr. Rodney, Dr. Carl B. Rodney, will speak to that a little later on when he comes to us. If
Okay.
not, I'll be sure to ask the president to get with you on that. All right, thank you. Thanks for your question. Very valid question.
Okay.
The
Thank
next
you.
person we are going to hear from is Mr. Mike Harrison. Mike Harrison is a young economist and he's a past student of St. George's College.
Miss Andrine, one interruption, please, if you don't mind. The speaker Hasty is here, and I know that he might have some limitations on his time. So Miss Sadie's asking if we could acknowledge him and give him a couple minutes right now before Mr. Harrison speaks. Is that okay?
But yeah, let me just make Mr. Harrison aware of that. Mr. Harrison, we're just moving to accommodate someone else. Is that okay with you? How is this affecting your time? Okay, I'm not seeing.
No problem, no problem.
All right, good. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, so we're gonna ask Carl E. Hasty. He's the 100th Speaker of the New York State Assembly, and he represents the 83rd AD in the Northeast Bronx. He is the first African American to serve as leader of the Chamber's 150 members representing communities across the state of New York. Since February 3rd, 2015, he has led the Assembly majority to promote a families first agenda. Under his leadership, the Assembly has won a number of landmark victories that deliver on the Assembly majority's promise to expand opportunities for achievement in communities around the state. He's a lifelong advocate for workers' rights and has served as the chair of the Assembly Labor Committee. He was the principal negotiator in securing an increase in the minimum wage, and in 2015, with the support of his majority colleagues, began the first for $15 in the New York State, the fight for $15 in the New York State Legislature. Before becoming Speaker, he was also the prime sponsor of the Wage Theft Prevention Act that provided a framework for the State Department of Labor to root out incidences of wage theft and help aggrieved workers reclaim their illegally withheld earnings. Okay. I also wanted to share with you that something else about him that is very critical. In an especially poignant campaign to strengthen the achievement of all New York students, he championed efforts to secure the enactment of President Barack Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, his bio is loaded. He's a guy who works and he delivers. Carl E. Hasty. Am I pronouncing it right, sir?
That's fine. It's Hasty. It's a Bahamian Bahamian name. So the E is.
Okay, now I know. Go right ahead, sir.
So first, let me say hello to everyone. Say happy holidays. I see a lot of longtime friends that are here. First, with all honor and respect to former Prime Minister Michael Manley, of course, my good friend, the former Consul General at Basel. I see you there as well. And to one of my favorite constituents in Sadie Campbell, the president of the Jamaica Progressive League. I heard that the Rodneys are around. I'd say the Rodneys are everybody's parents, by the way. They're just such good people. So what I want to say to all of you, I hope you're being safe. Hopefully the cavalry is on its way soon with the vaccine so we can get past this. Our community, particularly Northeast Bronx, has been hardest hit. With this being a community of so many essential workers and people on the front lines, we have so many nurses, members of 1199, transit workers. We're a very working class labor community. So, but I just want to say to you, Sadie, thank you for all the work, and to all the members of the Jamaica Progressive League, thank you for all that you do to make our community what I believe is the best place outside, I'd say, of the beautiful islands of the Caribbean, to live. The league keeps the, let's say, the culture, the Jamaican culture specifically, rich and alive in the enclave of the Northeast Bronx. I love to brag that assembly district has the most Jamaicans outside of the country of Jamaica. It's something I love to brag about. But I just again want to compliment all of the work. I see everybody on there. I see June O'Connor. I see so many people across the field that work so hard. Everybody's lawyer, Hugh Campbell, I see there as well. Just a thank you to everybody that makes our area of the Bronx and New York State the great place that it is. I look forward to continue to work with the league, be helpful financially at times with the league. I will continue to do so, in my capacity as the speaker. But I always say my most important job, even though being the Speaker of the Assembly is great, but my most important job is being the Speaker of, the Assemblyman for the 83rd Assembly District, because if y'all don't keep me in office, I won't have the ability to be Speaker. And there's an old adage that says all politics is local. And I just want to do one good service announcement. I won't get too political on here, but I just want to remind everybody there's a special election for the city council in our area on December 22nd. And I just want to encourage everybody to go out and vote. One of my staff people, Kevin Riley, was on earlier. He wanted to give some of his well wishes as well to the league and give his respect to Prime Minister Manley. But again, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, let you always know that I'm here, accessible. And I think the community is such a greater place because of the presence of the Jamaica Progressive League. So hopefully everybody stay well, be safe. I'm actually up here in Albany tomorrow. I'm one of the 29 electors of New York State. So tomorrow I get to cast one of the votes for President-elect Joe Biden tomorrow. So that's why I'm doing. So take care.
Say it loud.
I love you all, and thank you for the 20 years of support that you've given me over my career. But most importantly, stay safe. Be easy on the family gatherings. As much as I know you may have to do them by Zoom, but the COVID virus is spiking, and I just want people to be careful. Wash those hands, wear those masks, carry that hand sanitizer, because I don't want to lose anybody else in the community. We've been devastated. I know Sadie mentioned earlier that we want to have a tribute wall or something that acknowledges all of the great people that we've lost in the community due to the COVID virus. So with that, everybody take care, stay safe. I love you all, and happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker Hasty. Thank you so much. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Erwin Clare, a stalwart in our community. Mr. Clare, I can't see your handsome face, but I know you're there. I know you're listening, and I know your spirit was with us. Thank you for being a part of this gathering. I also want to acknowledge Lorna Radcliffe, and Hugh Thomas, and Yvonne Small, out there in Jamaica. And I also recognize Gerald White Davies. Hi, Gerald. How are you, sir? Thanks for stopping by to be a part of this very important gathering of intellectuals, of community people, and family, and friends. And Mr. Hugh Campbell, did I acknowledge you before? I hope I did. And I see June O'Connor, whose institution is named the Marcus Garvey School after Marcus Garvey. And I want to extend condolences, and I'm sure you are sharing that with your students as well. All right, so we're going to hear from a young man. I call him a young man, Mr. Mike Harrison. He's a past student of St. George's in Kingston, Jamaica, as well as College of Arts, Science, and Technology. He holds a bachelor's degree in business and an MBA from the University of Phoenix. Mike was an active member of the Jamaica Awareness Organization in Southern California. For years, he played a major part in assisting the founders of the African Holocaust of Tehuti, located in Southern California. It was during his years being involved in both organizations that he wrote several articles on socio-economic issues. One in particular is the Caribbean Hub. Ladies and gentlemen, coming all the way from Georgia, somewhere in Georgia, Mike Harrison.
I thank you, Andreen, and thanks for being here with all your distinguished guests. In honoring Michael Manley, it is a privilege, a humble occasion. My interaction with Michael Manley was when I was at my late years at St. George's College, and also when I went to CAST. But certain things stood with me in a speech he gave regarding the economic condition, where he was a very good lecturer. He teach, as a politician, he teaches, where he broke down Jamaica being told the price that they should be received for sugar, the sugar being converted to sweetie, and then they're telling us how much they're gonna pay the sweetie for. And I think he made a 10-cent, 30-cent analysis, and he said, at what point in time do you be ahead? And you can't. Then the issue that he took on in reference to the bastard issue, I found that was profound, because he went in and he changed the law whereby children out of wedlock have the same rights as children in wedlock. My era, the early 70s, was an education, not from a textbook standpoint, but you had Trevor Monroe at the University of West Indies, Marxist. You had Michael Manley, a democratic socialist, and you had Edward Seaga, who seemed to follow the Reaganomics capitalistic laissez-faire mentality. And Michael really embraced an upliftment of the grassroots. He empowered the people. You felt that you're a part of Jamaican society, making decisions. As a young person, that to me was exhilarating. The Jamal issue, people getting involved, creating an atmosphere of literacy. And as he spoke eloquently on the issue of an uneducated society will having a fool running it. These are the things that inspired me as a young person and as a Jamaican to get involved into social issues deeply, because I was already doing socialism as a Boy Scout, but I didn't even know the word socialism at 12, 13, 14. But Michael Manley blended that love of the country, love of the people, the enhancement of, the empowerment of Jamaica controlling their own resources. Instead of importing Kellogg's cornflakes, we can make our own cornflakes. Jamaicans utilizing our resources, be tourists of Jamaica, to go across the island. Michael did that. And these are the things now would like, we have seen where our land is being owned by other people. We're not controlling our beaches, we're not controlling our hotels. And the question is, are you self-reliant? Are you still a colony? So this neo-colonialistic experiment that was, let me put it this way. Michael's effort was getting rid of colonialism in many aspects of what he did. And he made me, as well as young people like myself, proud. So even when you leave Jamaica and you come on and you travel to Africa or you travel to England, you feel very well in seeing what Michael has brought. And as one of the speakers said, we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of brilliant minds across the world. Teachers, engineers, plumbers, construction workers, lecturers, lawyers. And these are people that can go back, and I don't like the word give back, but they can directly impart their skills into empowering Jamaica, because the diaspora is very important. And as Dr. Bryant spoke up in reference to the development of Jamaica Labour Party, the PNP Party, development of the UNIA with Garveyism, I believe that strongly, that we have a chance now to move forward and bring in all these talents, scholarships, these type of minds together in making Jamaica better. We can change the direction in which currently Jamaica is going. So that's just my honoring of Michael Manley, and I thank for this opportunity, and I thank Andreen, and I thank the association for giving me this chance to express myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike Harrison. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so we're moving right along, and we are going to hear from somebody that I just absolutely adore, and I think he knows I adore him, Dr. Carl B. Rodney. Dr. Carl B. Rodney and his wife, Faye, founded the New York Carib News 30 years ago to fill a recognized void in communication of the growing Caribbean American community. Because of their pioneering efforts, Carib News is now a recognized institution of the community, playing a significant role in projecting the importance and potential of the community, thereby becoming the publication of record for the Caribbean American community. Prior to Carib News, however, Dr. Carl Rodney, a magna cum laude graduate of Hunter College in Economics, worked in research and development department of Equitable Life Insurance in a senior management position. He held responsibility for several major projects during his tenure there. Carl is the recipient of numerous awards and recognition. Among them, the national honor by the government of Jamaica, the Order of Distinction, honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Medgar Evers College, 2007, Medgar Evers Living Legacy Award, October 2007, Jamaica Progressive League William A. Dominga Award, U.S. Department of Commerce 2006 National Minority Enterprise Development, the MED Minority Media Cornerstone Award. He also earned the NAACP Martin Luther King Measure of a Man Award 2006. Dr. Carl and Faye have been married for over 40 years. They have 3 daughters, the Honorable Michelle Rodney, Justice of the New York County Supreme Court, Carlissa, and Deneen. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, my dear friend, Dr. Carl B. Rodney.
Thank you so much, my dear friend and sister, Dr. Bonner.
Oh, Dr. Yet.
Yes, of course. It's aspirational. You know, we're getting there. So, good evening, everyone, and it is a real pleasure for me to be with you all. It's indeed a pleasure, and I'd like to extend, of course, congratulations to our leader and our president, Sadie Campbell, who is a dynamic and determined leader of the Jamaica Progressive League. And of course, you have heard from two giants from Jamaica, Dr. Basil Wilson and Dr. Basil Bryan. These are thought leaders that have played a significant role for Jamaica and Jamaicans, and in fact, for the region in so many ways. So it's a delight for me to be a part of this program and to be celebrating 84 years of the League's existence and 96 years of Michael Manley birth. And both intersect in a way through the League because a lot of the League's mission and effort was to bring politics in a significant way to Jamaica. And Michael Manley, in the end, it was realized through Michael Manley, a number of the League's program. I'd also like to join with others who mourn the death of Marcus Garvey Jr. And in the same sense that Marcus Garvey philosophy in the early years influenced the League and vice versa, Marcus Garvey Jr. was a brilliant man who worked hand in hand with the League on several programs in several ways, including our adult education program that we established at Jamaica House in the 70s. And I would also like to invite everyone to celebrate today, the 75th birthday of another true leader, the Honorable Portia Simpson Miller. And so we have a lot to be celebrating and a lot to be thankful for. It was two very interesting presentations that we heard today. And what is significant about it is the value that both speakers brought to where we are and where we need to be. And in fact, in some degree, to tie it in with what the League is doing currently now, what we want to do with the library.
Max?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And what we'd like to do with the library, that is, the League was so kind enough to name in our honor, and what we'd like to have as a center of activity, and not just physical activity, but certainly intellectual activities that can provide a pathway to charting our own course and our own destiny. So these are all coming together, and it's good that we can now take the time to start looking at it and to reflect on it and to answer the question as to the library. Certainly it's been stacked with books, but we want to also make it a center of excellence that is beyond just the walls, and that the digital and virtual world that exists, we want to be able to be a part of that too, so people can get to information much in the same way we're doing this conference virtually, and have a first-class technical operation out of the library. So we'll have books, but we'll also have online services and of course online discussions. And so we're looking to do that in a real significant way. The League itself is an organization that, as Dr. Bryan mentioned, is one of action, and certainly the action took a political path from time to time, but it needs to be understood that the early days of the League, that it was non-political. It was looking at Jamaica and what future of Jamaica should be, and so it supported the political operation and including the labor movement. And so through the years, as Dr. Bryan has outlined, the League has taken that position. And in our own time, in the 1970s, the League again was in a position to introduce what I think is modern politics in Jamaica, because for those who went to political parties in the 1970s, when the League combined with the Michael Manley movement, we provided and brought to Jamaica what is modern politics in terms of how you campaign, the medium that you use. In fact, the League provided every constituency in Jamaica with their own public address system, which was revolutionary because then you had to be paying to move these huge boxes from one location to the other. And we brought into the system this nimble issue around public address systems that every constituency could have one and many had two. So you could be able to mount a campaign. And of course, there's buttons and T-shirt that we provided. And under the leadership of that time of Oris Cardoza, who got us to put together our own credit cards to make it happen, and brought to Jamaica the kind of campaign that they never saw before. And so the League was very instrumental in that. And but quickly to just talk about the League and as a problem solving organization after the 72 election, and we felt that with the growing Jamaican population in New York, and most ethnic group or overseas, the nationals had support groups. The Italian had theirs, the Jews have theirs, the Irish had theirs, the Caribbean and Jamaica had none. And then there were immigrant group that needed those support service. The League stepped in at that time. We were in Jamaica House and the building on 57th Street that we acquired, a 14-story building, and provided those services. We provided immigration advisory service. We provided adult education service. So we shift the focus from the politics in Jamaica to the large growing Jamaican community here. As Dr. Bryan talked about, Beryl Henry and the League sued the United States government on the discrimination policy of their immigration work and successfully brought that about. So there's a large growing population now, what we call the push of immigrants, and we felt we had to bring our attention to provide some of those services that were needed. And it went from a youth group to legal advisory group, employment referral. So we then started to provide those services in Jamaica House. And it might be of interest to some people that Jamaica Progressive League was the first Black organization to own a commercial building in a downtown area in the United States. And I think that still stands today. Result-oriented, as Dr. Bryan would say, with little what we Talawa, we have pushed the envelope to a point where we had to be noted. And so as Sadie takes her charge, you can see that she's heading in a direction to do those kinds of stuff. The services, the result-oriented engagement and involvement. And so it's a tradition that the League started 84 years ago. And it's one that I'm happy to see Sadie is taking on and pushing. And we do plan to be supportive in that area and do plan to make the library not just a physical piece of it, and that will be so on, and the books will be there, and but also to make it a center of excellence and modern technology that can serve the needs of the Jamaican population and, in a larger extent, the Caribbean population. So in winding up, I just again say congratulations. Again, urge people to participate in a significant way, because as Dr. Bryan pointed out, the League was started with a small group of people in the depression that was people were on food line, but a small group of people. They were not all intellectuals. They were trade people. They were people that were just committed to a country, a kind of concept that this country had a right to be self-determined. And that league determination not only helped Jamaica, but certainly provided a pattern for the other Caribbean countries and to a large extent other Black countries who saw how you have to organize around the colonial power to achieve independence. And so our league has a lot to be proud of, and I think we would say there's leadership a lot to look forward to, and we should not back away from it, but move fully into this effort of making Jamaica and the Jamaica Progressive League strong force in this country and for Jamaica. And we look forward to that. And I'm certainly looking forward to continue to be a part of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Come on, clap him, man. Clap him. He's doing great work. And I'm very delighted that he take the time to be with. As a matter of fact, he would have come anyway. I know that. He wouldn't have missed it for nothing in the world. Thank you so much, Dr. Rodney. I really respect and honor you and your contributions to our community. I would like to acknowledge Kevin Riley of the 12th District for City Council. Kevin was here for a while and was not able to stay with us, but he extends greetings and he said it was amazing. Happy 84th anniversary to JPL, and thank you for your dedication in serving our community. Both of my parents migrated from Jamaica in the early 80s, and I am so grateful that your organization has been serving our community for 84 years old. And that's from Kevin Riley, the City Council candidate for the 12th District. His website is rileyforthebronx.com, and he wishes a happy anniversary birthday for our dear Michael Norman Manley. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Rodney, for
Mr. Rodney, where's Miss Faye?
Pardon me?
Where's Miss Faye?
Miss Faye.
I
thought Miss Faye went back through the door.
I'm not appropriate. I'm not appropriate child.
Come show your pretty face, girl.
Congratulations to
Miss Faye, I haven't seen you in years. This is
I know. I've been hiding. Congratulations to you, Miss Bonner, Miss Campbell, and all the people who have made this possible. It's just wonderful. I think it's a very good idea, and it's very energetic too. Just the energy of you, the MC, and what Miss Campbell has done is enough to tell us that the league is on its way to marvelous things.
Yes,
Thank you for allowing me to come on. I'm not properly attired, but I'm just happy that
you always look fabulous. You always look fabulous.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, very good. I'm going to take a little moment here to invite to speak to us just for a brief moment. She's been with us for quite a while today. Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam, and she is from Maryland, 44th District. She was born in Trelawney, Jamaica on May 20th, 1939, and she studied nursing at a number of schools before receiving her bachelor's degree in nursing from the University of Maryland at Baltimore. In 1980, and her master's in administrative sciences from Johns Hopkins in 1984. In addition to owning her own business, she has been a faculty associate in nursing for Johns Hopkins. And before being elected in 1994, Nathan Pulliam was active with the Democratic Party organization at the state and national level, as well as Planned Parenthood of Maryland and various professional nursing organizations. Nathan Nathan Pulliam has received a number of awards. Honey, I've seen those awards. So numerous to mention. Senator Nathan Pulliam is currently served for her first time the Maryland State Senate, and she's gonna fix everything that I'm reading off of Wikipedia right now. She's gonna correct me, and I don't have a problem with that. Okay, my dear friend, she has previously served 20 years in the Maryland House of Delegates as Deputy Major Whip and as a member of the Health and Government Operations Committee. And I know she's going to help the JPL. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call on her.
Okay. Are you ready?
Pulliam.
Yes. Good evening to everyone.
Yes.
It's wonderful that I was invited by Andreen to sit in and listen. And it was a tremendous experience and exciting to listen to Dr. Wilson and to Dr. Bryant and Dr. Rodney, just to listen to the history of the Progressive League and the things that it have done in Jamaica to make a difference. And so I just wanted to say, in saluting Michael Manley's 96th birthday, it was because I got to really know him during the 80s when Leopold Edwards, who was my mentor, and as a member of the Caribbean American Intercultural Organization, Leo invited me to every reception he ever has for Michael Manley. And so I was privileged that while I was running for office in 1985, I have a beautiful picture of him and I sitting right here on my mantle in my living room, which that picture was taken when he offered to campaign with me in Baltimore when I was running for the House of Representatives for the first time. And he said, Shirley, I would go with you and campaign with you, but because of my relationship or my so-called relationship with Castro, the folks begin to think of me as a communist. So maybe this is not a time for me to come and campaign with you. So for me, this warm, charismatic man of integrity was okay with me if he wanted to campaign with me. And just the thought that he offered it made a big difference to me and in my memory. And so it's wonderful to be with all of you and to listen to all the different aspects. And Andreen, I will correct you a little bit. I was the vice chair of the Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs Committee in the Senate.
Yes.
And in the House, I was deputy majority whip before I went over to the Senate. And I'm the first Caribbean born ever to be elected to the Maryland General Assembly. And after my 25 years of service in December, I retired. So that's about the gist of me, okay? The rest of the things, it's okay. It's all right. You did a pretty good job. Thank you so very much for having me. And it was great to see Dr. Bryant. I hadn't seen him in so long. Thanks again, Andrea.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you so much, Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam. She's doing some great work. I don't know about this retirement thing. I don't know. I'm supposed to be a retired school teacher now, and it's not working because I'm still teaching. I don't know how retired you are.
Well, listen, Andrea, the word hasn't gotten out that I'm retired, or if it's gotten out, they still think that I'm still in the Senate. So I'm still getting all the calls and all the problems. People are calling me, think I can solve it all from home without staff. I get to figure everybody's working from home with COVID, so I can continue to work without pay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Senator Nathan Pulliam. All right, we're moving right along, and we're going to call on a very dear, wonderful community advocate for children. Her name is Miss June O'Connor. And is Miss June O'Connor still with us? Because I'm not looking at my full gallery here. And could you spotlight Miss O'Connor for us, please? Yes, there she is. I see her. And she is the principal and founder of the Garvey School in the Bronx. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend, Miss June O'Connor.
A very good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Hostess, Lady Andreen Bonner. Very dynamic and engaging, and have us all riveted here. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be in a seat of learning here. I am learning from the historians. And of course, I'd like immediately to extend a thank you to Madame President Sadie Campbell, who is my mentor and such an amazing historian, and who continues to keep our narrative alive and is making a significant difference in this community. She and I often commiserate about the significant contribution of the Honorable Michael Manley. And I have pleasant memories of seeing him. I was probably 12 years old and I was at this meeting, and he was indeed so engaging and so riveting, and his such an amazing speaker. And I've never forgotten that. But as I got older, I learned what he stood for, what his philosophy was about. And that in part has also driven my desire to educate our children about their history, of course, founded on the philosophy of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who has taught us the world what it means to be culturally aware, to be spiritually connected, and to be educated about who you are and the power that that holds. And earlier on, President Campbell talked about the hopeful village. That's an idea that she has, and that I've joined with her to collaborate in whatever way we can. And what she and I have talked about, the devastating impact of this virus on the family dynamics, and what is not spoken about, or is not as obvious, or is not so much on the forefront, is the Great Slide. And what's the Great Slide? I know Lady Andreen, as an educator, immediately recognizes that. Usually we can talk about the summer slide, and there are ways to try to remediate that or to mitigate that in some way. But COVID-19 is a new experience, a decimating experience. And it's disproportionately impactful in the lives of Caribbean students and African-American students and Latino students. And as we know, the data for the parents of these students are disproportionately affected by this disease. So if we're losing disproportionately African Americans, Caribbean Americans, Latino Americans, we have these students whose grandparents, whose caretakers, whose family members are no longer there. And what seems to be getting lost in all of this dialogue is that gap, that if we're losing these caretakers, what is happening to these children who, even when the caretakers were there was still a gap. So there is a significant gap in the achievement of African-American children, which Caribbean American children are a subset of that population, and are impacted in some ways more because of the dynamics of absentee parents, the whole dynamics of barrel children and all that. So I'm grateful that Sadie has brought this to the fore, and I'm hoping that what we will come away from this program with is a resolution to join her in making this a reality. Because if we have a hopeful village in this area of the Bronx, it will mean another set of resources, another place of connection for these children who are suffering these devastating losses. And so I'm truly, truly grateful to the Jamaica Progressive League. I'm grateful to Dr. Rodney, Dr. Keys, Mr. Hugh Campbell, Mrs. Rodney, and Judge Michelle Rodney, and who've all been great mentors and have been supportive and continue to be supportive of these efforts. And I'm extending my appeal to everyone in my hearing to think about the forgotten set of dynamics that's ravaging this subset of the African-American student population. Please think about that. And thank you so much for being here. I'm honored to listen to all the historians and to all the teachers. And I look forward to a way that we can convey all of this history to our younger folks, to our students. Our students do not have this kind of information. And so they're growing up in the absence of this narrative. And it's a tragedy, I have to tell you. So we have to find a way. We have to find a way to stop that. Thank you. Thank you. And congratulations to Jamaica Progressive League. And a million congratulations to Sadie for hanging in there, for making sure this happens, and for giving the kind of support that is just priceless. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dean O'Connor. Again, I'd like to appeal to the JPL and whomever is our historian for this afternoon. I know this recording is being taped, but there have been a lot of action items that have been put forth by persons like Mr. O'Connor a while ago regarding this resolution. And there are other action items that keep coming up. So let's not make this the talk shop. As I said earlier, we want to continue at JPL to be a solutions-driven organization that they've been for 84 years. All right. So I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Sharon Hamilton Pearson. And Ms. Pearson has been around here somewhere. I saw her earlier. She is with the Conduit Show, and she's one of our great historians in our community, a community advocate, and she documents, and she has a great podcast that she publishes once a week. And it's really, really, it keeps us in touch with what's happening in the diaspora and Jamaica in particular. So let's give Sharon Hamilton Pearson a round of applause for her contribution to our community. Now we're going to hear from Ms. Roberta Todd. She will talk to us about the New York Health Act. Ladies and gentlemen, Roberta Todd.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me here. And I've been enjoying really the history. And what I'm going to share with you is in the spirit of the history that we've been talking about. I'm representing Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition, and that's a grassroots member-led organization. And they've been around in the Bronx since 1974. And the key mission is to unite diverse people and institutions to work for economic democracy and racial justice through intergenerational community organizing. Right now, one of our key missions is the passing of the New York Health Act. And Miss Sadie Campbell has come and heard quite a few sessions and understands how relevant the New York Health Act is to us today. This is an act that would provide healthcare access to all New Yorkers. There are no requirements. It's providing comprehensive coverage. It is not tied to employment. And 90% of the people in New York would pay less on spending on healthcare, and they would get more. So that's the most important thing. The reason that Northwest Bronx Community Clergy is concerned is for those of you in the Bronx, you know that Bronx, there's 62 counties in this state, and Bronx ranks 62 in terms of healthcare. 9% of Bronxites prior to COVID-19 did not have healthcare. Over 5,000 people have died in the Bronx from COVID-19. Now think about, world on the Trade Center, and I'm telling you, over 5,000. The impact on our economy in terms of the level of unemployment then means impact brown and Black people or people of color is much higher. So there's the rate of death is 2 times higher than white people. Hospitalization is 4 times higher. So to us, it is so important that we, and you heard the word coalition. So we see the Jamaican Progressive League, but this is a coalition. We want to join Northwest Bronx Community Clergy, invites you to join us in reaching out to our politicians to let them know, that is letting your legislature know that you know that now is the time. It is different, but this is in line with, as you said, the history when you talk about what the former President Manley was doing for Jamaica. This is in line. It is different, it is new, but it is something that is needed. We need comprehensive universal health care. We're talking about a single payer. To get more information, I'm going to give you, and I'll put in the chat, the email to contact me, and that's healthjustice@northwestbronx.org. And our next session is January 13th, if you want to get more information, and I'm going to put in the chat the email. And thank you so much for allowing me to share this. And also, I really learned a lot. I've known the history, but I love pulling it together. I've known about Garvey, so I just really appreciate it this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, Roberta Todd. Again, we are getting all the support we need here, and the calls to action and the calls to participate. Somebody just wrote in the chat, Miss June O'Connor has a great message, the participation of our young people in these meetings. How are we going to address that? So that's an action item that we need to, if anybody wants to respond to that from the JPL, or how can we mobilize and get our young people involved in our organization?
Work in progress. It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. Okay. Is there anybody out there in our session today who has any special skills that you want to share with us? By all means, feel free to put that in the chat. And I know Miss Delia will save the file for our chat because there's a lot of information that's scrolling by and I'm trying to keep up with it. Okay. All right. Okay. At this moment, we're going to hear from Kofi Aital. And then the next person we will hear from is Mr. Jose Richards. So Mr. Kofi Aital, could you spotlight him for us, please? Is he still with us?
Yes, he is. He's coming up now.
Oh, he's coming up now. Excellent, excellent.
There you go. Greetings, family. Are you hearing me?
Yes, greetings.
All right. Hotep, Abargani family, African greetings. On behalf of the World African Diaspora Union, it's my pleasure to be here to bring some congratulations to the Jamaica Progressive League, and at the same time to the Honorable Michael Manley.
Yes.
For the tremendous work that both of them have done, the legacy that they have left and will continue to do. No need for me to regurgitate what has already been said. Sister Sadie, as the current president, thank you very much for the work that you are doing. And of course, to the other members, Elder Osei, of course, Elder Osei happened to be a member of the organization of which I'm also, the World African Diaspora Union. The thing about these legacies, when Sister Sadie sent me the information, I just want to just quickly refer to our ancestors blazed the nation building trail. This is for Jamaica. That's one very important thing. Pertaining to, that's the league. Pertaining to the Honorable Michael Manley, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, there's a bullet here. It says, putting people first. Perhaps that is it. I would just insert one word, putting our African people. That is extremely important because we can't run away. Bob Marley said, we can't run away from who we are. Many of us are trying to run away. So I was glad to hear words like African being used and Black being used and Garvey being used, because the Honorable Michael Manley, Garvey, and all the rest of our people who struggle, speaking specifically of Jamaica and the Caribbean, came out of the struggle for liberation, for the empowerment of our people. This is the fact. Now the challenges are, I noticed that when the league began, they were dealing with pantry. Can you imagine that? 84 years ago, situation arose that they were helping out with pantry. I myself, who assisted a church in Brooklyn, was also some years ago dealing with the prison as well as the pantry situation. Look where we are right now, 2020. We are way back to pantry, right? The league is now continuing to do the pantry. But even middle class people right now, right, are now existing because of pantries, right? This is the situation. So the challenge is, don't care the amount of work that we have put in, the challenge is we have to continue to put in these work. Now, linkages. Michael Manley was an internationalist. Of course he was. To us, in the World African Diaspora Union, and let me just make some linkages here. Our current president is Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Professor Leonard Jeffries. He also was instrumental in establishing the Black Studies Department curricula in the United States and beyond. Now, our first president, he took over, he succeeded. Guess who? The Honorable Dudley Thompson was the first president of WADO. See the linkage? Again, from out of Jamaica. In fact, Baba Dudley Thompson, as we refer to him, served in the government of Michael Manley, right? Was very instrumental in making those linkages, such as with Africa, of course, linkages with the non-aligned movement and so on, all right, to bring the message of empowerment. So the challenges for us as a people, all that we have done, and obviously and accurately, has to be documented, absolutely. Having documented is how we're going to get that information out to the current generation. Because if the information, if you have food, you remember for those who have the Christian persuasion, you remember when Jesus had or gave the parable of the man who had a feast, but you couldn't get anybody to come because the ruling class or the bourgeois, as we call them, wouldn't come. But then the working class, the proletariat, the masses came. And that is how are we going to reconnect with the masses. Nowadays, we have all kind of divide. We have a racial divide and disparities, racial divide, gender. But guess the challenge right now is the remote learning, right? Right now, that is going to put our children way back, way back. They had some slogans some time ago, leave no child behind. Well, we were always left behind, African people I'm speaking. And now we have the double challenges of all this, what is going on with this remote learning, the technology. Watching Jamaica News some weeks ago, I saw a dad way up in the country in Jamaica with his daughter. He's trying to make the contact that his daughter can learn by remote learning. But guess what? The technology would not work. So now the challenge is for the league Jamaica Progressive League, WADU and other organization, is how to get the equipment, how to get the technology to our people, right? We have to make that connection with the younger generation, because if we do not make that connection, then we have lost a great part of the war. Through this is a battle. We have to reconnect ourselves to our African identity. There's no liberation of our people anywhere on planet Earth. I'm speaking African people, whether in Brazil, whether in the rest of South America, whether in the Caribbean, whether in North America, whether in Europe, Africa itself, without making the connection between all African people. And so I'm pleased to tell you that Sister Sadie, Elder Osei and us from WADU have been talking about these issues and to implement them. Only last Thursday we had a committee meeting with Sister Sadie. How are we going to go forward? So family, we have to be creative. Kwanzaa is coming up, another great invention, recreation of our people, that we can identify ourselves as an African people. Those 7 principles, the Nguza Saba principles. So now we have to get more creative. The only way why we are still on this planet Earth here is because of our creativity. We have never run something like the Nile River. Let's think of the Nile River. We make the connection, the Nile River. That is why now in Africa, you see other countries on the continent threatening Ethiopia and getting encouragement that they will bomb. Listen to that. They will drop a bomb on the river. Because when Ethiopia get that dam going, it is going to liberate the continent. Absolutely. So they won't be able to project these starving children over there that turn off our people, African people. Like, I don't want to go to Africa. I don't want to be an African. Yet other people have no problem going to Africa. The same people who are telling us that we should not connect to Africa. The same people who are constantly telling us that we are human beings. But I'm sure that when the police pull up to one of our people, it doesn't matter the age or the gender of our African. They don't say, are you a human being? Are you part of humanity? No, they know exactly what they're dealing with. Right? They don't ask us what nationality we are. Absolutely. They don't say, let me hear your accent. I was told of a story that, quote unquote, a Latino gentleman was walking the street. The police car pulled up beside him. He said, N-word. The Latino continued to, quote unquote, act a Latino, Hispanic, continue to walk. N-word. Eventually the police car blocked him. He said, you didn't hear N-word, you didn't hear him talk to you? He said, I know N-word, you could be talking to me. He said, you're just another N-word who speaks Spanish. Understand? That is how they view us. So first of all, ideologically, I commend the league. I commend Michael Manley, absolutely, because Michael Manley, through the education process, and the ruling class were furious with Michael Manley, including some of our people who had, through osmosis, escaped the working class and now are joined with our other adversaries to block the progress. They will put all kind of label. It doesn't matter. What they're after is for us to know our place. According to them, in the Bible, they would claim that we are hewers of wood and drawers of water, and that is what we need to know our place. Right in the society, you see they treat us. It doesn't matter if you're here 400 years or if you're born here. It doesn't matter if you came from any other part. They just see you as black, and that's how we have to accept that. In the end, Zoom is a very important technology, and we have to be able to maneuver with Zoom, but at the end, whether this COVID go away or don't go away, or another one come, because guess what? The oppressors are not taking any recess now. COVID is not stopping them from doing what they want to do. We see these marches all over the United States. Those who are opposed to progress, to going forward. We see COVID is not stopping them. So we have to find ways and means while protecting ourselves of moving forward. Joining up with different organizations. And again, Madam Chair, you chairing the program, we thank all of you. And WADU is ready and records its readiness to participate in a coalition, in a progressive force to move African people forward. Jamaica is a very important link, absolutely. Marcus Garvey, so many we could name. Sam Shaw, Paul Bogle, Miss Lou, right? Michael Manley, Bob Marley, Reggae, Rasta, Ital, so many things coming out of Jamaica. But when our brother, our great teacher, Marcus Garvey was asked, he said, yes, absolutely, I was born here, but we couldn't swap one for the other. Forward family, and keep the struggle and keep the fire light. Thank you for having us on. And again, we congratulate the Jamaica Progressive League. And the best way to honor our elders, the best way to honor those who went before us, our ancestors, guess what? Is to repeat, is to reiterate, is to accomplish, is to fulfill what they have done.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Aital Kofi of the organization WADU. Thank you very, very much. We have a lot of work to do. I'm going to call upon Miss Sadie right now to introduce Jose Richards to persons that are here with us today. I know we have a family, we're family, but there are lots of guests here who might not be familiar with Mr. Jose and his support and participation with the league. Miss Sadie. Okay.
Yes, yes. No. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Not yet. Hearing it now. We're hearing
Okay.
it now.
Good evening. As before I introduce my vice president, the wonderful Mr. Jose Richards, I have a letter to read to you, and it's addressed to the Jamaica Progressive League. And it says, this serves belatedly with apologies to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 17th of July, 2020, concerning a proposal for engagement with the government and people of Jamaica in relation to a petition for the conferment of the Order of National Hero on the Most Honorable Michael Norman Manley, ONOCC, pursuant to a unanimous decision taken at the monthly general meeting of the Jamaica Progressive League held on April 26, 2020. The proposal by the Jamaica Progressive League Incorporated to launch a petition is duly noted. In this regard, I take the opportunity to confirm the provision for the nomination and selection of awardees in the categories of the 6 orders governed by the National Honors and Awards Act, Regulations 1970, including that of a national hero. The selection system should be the petition finds success would entail the establishment in due course of an advisory committee consisting of not less than 7 members appointed by the Prime Minister, 2 of whom shall be senators nominated by the Senate, and 2 members of the House of Representatives, as noted by the House, to make such investigation as it thinks fit to determine persons living or dead upon whom may be conferred the honor of national hero. And this is signed by the Ambassador Sandra Grant Griffiths, Secretary General of the Chancery of the Orders of the Societies of Honor and Chief State Protocol for Permanent Secretary. That's regarding Michael Norman Manley for our next national hero.
Okay, thank you.
With that, now I present my first Vice President, Mr. Jose Richards.
Thank you, Madam President.
He will speak to us. He'll bring us his message. Ms. Jose.
Thank you, Madam President. Am I on?
Can you hear him?
Good. It's quite an honor to be here today to help to celebrate the 84th anniversary of this glorious and grand and progressive organization called the Jamaica Progressive League. And a lot of folks seem to think that I was one of the founding fathers, but but that isn't true. I just like to debunk that. Wish I was around then. But this one marvels at the achievement of a group of people supposedly coming from what folks like to call the third world nations. And this fellow sitting in the White House, he has another name for our regions that we came from. And but we won't get into that. But to see a little place like Jamaica, who has produced so many giants, and I must say, I was sitting here and I was enjoying the contribution of many all the speakers that went on before me, and it's a history lesson that shouldn't be missed by the young folks. And it was a great feeling to see so many of us coming together. And I don't know if you want to, if there's anything we can, anything positive we can say about COVID-19, but this has brought us all together. And it's quite a while that we have had so many great scholars in our midst. And I commend them all for their contributions for this evening's event. The Jamaica Progressive League, for me, when I joined the league, I told the president when I was asked why I want to be a member of the league, and I honestly told her that I joined the league because I don't want to see this organization die of an unnatural death. And this is an institution that I have oftentimes says that every Jamaican, no matter what organization you belong to, you should have a membership in the Jamaica Progressive League, because this is our history. Mr. Garvey told us that a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. And oftentimes, our people, our young people, are not told their history. They're not taught their history. And so, if you don't know where you're coming from, then you won't know where you're going. So, as a group of people in this country, we have to come together with a tightness, just as how you see the Israelis, the Jewish people in Israel and so forth, how they are tight, and nothing matters but their interest. This is how we, as a race of people, not just a Jamaican, because Jamaica, to be a Jamaican is a nationality. We're talking about our race, as Brother Kofi just mentioned earlier. We can't run away from who we are. We can't hide, because everybody recognizes us coming down the road. This rich melanin that we have, we should be proud of it. Some of us are not as richly melanated as others, but as long as the blood of Africa courses through your vein, we should stand tall and stand proud. And so the Jamaica Progressive League is an organization that thanks, and I have to continue to always give kudos and respect and honor to our president, President Sadie Campbell, who at one time this organization was at its most dismal moment. And through her stewardship and leadership, with the support of the rest of us, the league is today standing tall. It has a long ways to go, but we are appealing to the younger generation now, because us elders, we can't hold on forever. We are here to pass on whatever information and knowledge we have to you, so you can take this institution, and so it can go another 84 years, right, and beyond. And so that's as much as I have to say on the league. There's so much more to say, but the scholars that went on ahead of me, they are chock full of information and history of the Jamaica Progressive League. You just have to just question them, just interact with them, and they will tell you so much about the league that I am not I'm not capable of telling you. All right. So we have to pick the brains of those who know, who came before us and have all the information. Now, as far as Comrade Michael Manley is concerned, I tell everyone, and I'm not ashamed of it, I'm not afraid to say it, that I have always been a Michael Manley comrade. Mr. Manley is who endeared me to the the PNP, People's National Party, and into politics. When Mr. Manley had arisen in the party, it was like a breath of fresh air. It kind of gave politics a good feeling. Prior to that, politics was just about scoundrels and rascals running all over the place and enriching themselves. And this is what politics has become. We today long to have Mr. Manley today to get this party together. When I look at the People's National Party, what it has become, it is become a party that is practically scavenging on itself. It's feeding on itself and fighting hard to become a corporate party like the other party. We want a party that can stand out signally, that Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder can look at the party and two parties and see the difference between the two. We want a party that goes back to the values and to thinking of our people and to think about nation building. And we don't have those kind of politicians anymore. Mr. Manley was a statesman. Mr. Manley was who helped to put Jamaica on the map. Mr. Manley was who helped to make Jamaica a respected place. Not just Jamaica, but the rest of the so-called third world nation. He took our issues and put it on the front burner. No longer was we thought of as some little third world, as the president would call his S-hole nation. He took our issues and amplified it. And we long for a leadership like that. This man was about nation building. He was taking us to a place where we could achieve self-sufficiency. When I look at the proximity that we are to Cuba, and after all those almost 60 years of embargo on that island nation, still they survived, and they use everything at their disposal to stand firm, and they've achieved so much. They have created vaccine for this coronavirus and other things. They are great in the medical field. They have been helping out nations all over the world. They have been instrumental in Africa in helping to curb the scourge of apartheid, fighting in Angola and all those places. And we were that close to that gallant and courageous little nation, and nothing has rubbed off on us. When one of those politicians in Jamaica have a headache, they jump on a plane and go to Florida or to New York to see a doctor. When they should have created those kind of medical institutions and a nation building institution in our country. We are not in the nation building mode. So Mr. Manley is he's missed. And so, as I said again, he was a statesman. He was a nation builder. He was a brilliant brother that was trying to turn around that crooked and corrupt system called capitalism and create a more humane system where the majority of our people that has the blood of Africa coursing through their veins could stand up and could have a chance in the land of which fertilized the blood, sweat, and tears of their ancestors has fertilized every square inch of that land. And today it is being robbed right from underneath our feet by those same folk that have the blood of Africa coursing through their veins. The cockpit country and all these other parts, they want to destroy them for a few pieces of silver, and there'll be nothing left for our children to work with. So, family, I have to close on this, but I have to remind us that if we as a race of people don't stand tall, the only memory they will have of us in that little land called Jamaica, our homeland, they'll probably have images of us and maybe a coin or the what do you call what's the shield, the shield of Jamaica or so forth. You know, that is where they'll find images of African people. All right. So we have to stand tall and build up our self-esteem and like Mr. Garvey is trying to put in us, put some spine in our backbone and have us stand up and stop running from who we are. And so, family, I have so much more to say, but I know time is limited.
Yes.
And time won't allow it. But I wish each and every one of you Godspeed. Continue to do whatever you can in the interest of developing and uplifting our race. As always, one love. And Mr. Garvey say race first every time. That doesn't mean that we hate anybody else, but Parson, Christine Pickney first. So we have to look out for us.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Jose. Again, I'd like to acknowledge other persons who have been with us all evening. I see there's a Sonia Cole, and there's a Dawn White, and there's a Barry Scott. I see Anthony Atkinson, Blossom. I don't know if it's Richards or Richardson, but it cuts off at the R. But Blossom, I acknowledge your presence. And again, there's a brother, Asukuli, or I apologize. I'm trying to pronounce your name. I just want to acknowledge your presence. I've been seeing you in our view here. And James Alston, I want to acknowledge your presence here with us, and everyone who made the effort to come out tonight. I do acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge again Miss Delia Farquharson, council member here in the great city of Mount Vernon. She is a powerhouse. I can see her leading us as mayor one of these days, because she is really a mover and a shaker. And I thank her for the work that she is doing in our community. Miss Yvonne Small, I want to thank you so much. On short notice, I'm sending out all these WhatsApp to people, you know, come on. And so I know my people. See, they're here, they came. So I know who will show up. Senator Nathan Pulliam. And so I'm gonna ask, we have come to the end of our program, and I'm gonna call on Mr. Hugh Thomas to give the vote of thanks and take it from there.
You caught me by surprise.
Oh, you shouldn't have. I apologize.
I didn't.
I was texting.
I was just here listening and enjoying.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be with you today. As all of you know, I saw that we have been around for quite a while. I saw some familiar faces today: Carl Rodney, BK Bryan. But I would also like to give special thanks and support to Sadie Witherspoon. She has been a stalwart, and she never fails to contact me when I sometimes want to give up. She's always there. And the League, I am sure, appreciates her very much. As far as Michael Manley is concerned, yes, I agree with supporting him, and I would like to state that I founded the Washington, D.C. chapter of the Progressive League primarily to provide a base of support for him, because as many of you remember, because of his friendship with Castro, they say, he had problems with the United States. And he tried to get meetings with high officials here, but they were not granted.
Now,
And
we have some candles for Liam to blow out. The last time he spit all over the cake. So you want me to cut off a slice for him to blow it out? Right?
Yes,
right,
yes.
Letting him cut it first? All right.
So
Okay, sorry about that.
when I found out that he was not able to get these appointments, I set about, and with the help of people like Richard Fletcher, the same Dr. Bryan there, and others, we raised funds, and we were able to get appointments for him to meet with high U.S. officials. The first person he met with was the Secretary of State then, Mr. Schultz.
Kissinger.
Schultz. And I drove him to the State Department in the morning. The Secretary of State said he would meet with him for 15 minutes only. And I didn't go into the meeting with him. I waited for him. And he came down an hour and a half later. They hit it off. And the Secretary passed the word on that it was okay to deal with him. And that is how Jamaica mended its fences with the United States, an event which he thanked me for personally, publicly rather, at a meeting, at a luncheon in Washington, D.C. Beverly Manley, his wife, then was present, and she told me, you know, that was an important endorsement. You should watch yourself. Many people would have liked to have received that kind of endorsement from Michael Manley. The Progressive League has done so much for Jamaica. In fact, it was a league that called for the formation of a political party that brought the PNP into being. The league has lobbied the US government for immigration reform. The Progressive League today is in possession of 2 pens that were given to the league by President Lyndon Johnson, who invited them to the White House to witness the signing of the immigration bill into law. We are not, the younger people today don't know, or even some of the people in Jamaica, some of the people in the PNP in Jamaica are not familiar with the history of the league.
Yes.
And I hope that in the days and months and years to come, our story will be told, that everyone will know. The league has a lot to be proud of. Sure. And I'm very happy that President Witherspoon brought this meeting together today. And I hope that as we progress, we will be able to find ways to get our story out across. People need to hear about the things that the league has done. So an awful lot. There was a time in Jamaica when native police officers could not be promoted beyond the rank of sergeant major. It is the league that got that changed. It is the league that got the first Postmaster General, native Postmaster General of Jamaica appointed. The league that got medical doctors to become heads of the medical institutions. And I promise I'm going to discuss this with President Witherspoon. I believe that we should make an effort to get our original papers from the colonial office if possible, because in 1956, I think it was, or 76, members of the league journeyed down to Jamaica and presented our historic papers to the Institute of Jamaica, and those papers have gone missing. Mm-hmm. Scholars don't have access to them. Nobody knows where they are. So we should try to reconstruct all those things and let our story be known. So I thank you for what you're doing, President Witherspoon, and I will do my best to be supportive of you, and all the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I am just seeing Mr. Gerald White Davis popping up in my screen here. I saw his name before, but we haven't heard from him, so I don't know if he has a word for us. Mr. White Davis, do you have a word for us at all? Even a little hello?
Certainly. Congratulations to everyone there at the Jamaican Progressive League. What can I say after listening to all that have been said by these iconic historians? Okay. I was brought up under the democratic socialism in Jamaica, and so that I'm very much familiar with Michael Manley and the things that he has done that has been underscored over and over in the meeting. I personally have benefited from his tenure. For example, I went to University of the West Indies at the time when I went there free, all right? And it was because of Michael Manley why I was able to do so.
That's right.
And certainly, I also work at the National Housing Trust, and I am also privy to know the impact that the National Housing Trust had on the people of Jamaica. And certainly, I want to commit myself at this point in time publicly to work with the Jamaican Progressive League and with Sadie in whatever way that I can. I am very excited about the Hope Village, and I would like to be a part of that process also. I pledged my organization, the International Consortium of Caribbean Professionals, to work alongside with the Jamaican Progressive League. And I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerald White Davis. You hear people are committing. Anyway, folks are saying that they're starving, and so am I. You know, normally the Progressive League would feed us. Well, I came to the party and I didn't have dinner yet. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Again, I just want to do a quick recap of our special presenters, Dr. Basil Wilson, Dr. Basil Bryan, Mike Harrison, Carl Hasty, Dr. Carl Rodney, Ms. Roberta Todd, Ms. Juna Connor, and of course, Jose Richards. And a very, very special thank you to our president, Miss Sadie Campbell. And I know Miss Sadie Campbell is not, although she wants us to understand that the Jamaica Progressive League is not about partisan politics. Jamaica Progressive League is about the advancement of Jamaica. And so if we can get that message forward, we will be able to mobilize a lot more people with skills to come on board. We will not forget the history, however, but we want to know we have to be inclusive, a lot more inclusive, because as I said to my brother earlier today, I said to my brother, you know, we all need an education. We all need food on our table. We all need roads. It should not be a PNP, a JLP, or a PPP, or a CCC, or a DDD, whatever the lettering is. It is about people. And I am an actor, I'm a writer, I'm an artist, and I am for the people. Regardless of who I may vote for, I am for people. So thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Let me just say, let me say what a phenomenal job our lady of the evening, or Mrs. Feminist, Andrew Bonner has done. Let us give her a rousing round of applause, because Andreen, you are just phenomenal. You never disappoint. You are so talented. I encourage everyone to get your book. Your new book is called Long Walk to Cherry Gardens.
Oh, see here.
Yes, you must support Andrew Bonner and tell everybody they make great Christmas gifts. We don't have anything else to do but read anyway. So please, folks, get copies of the book. It's available on Amazon. Long Walk to Cherry Gardens, and it's a follow-up to her first book. So please, guys,
Support Andrew Bonner.
No life, no garden. Support Miss Bonner, who's a talent in our community, just a phenomenal woman who's always supportive. And I just want to say, and Lady Campbell is going to bid us good night, that we are just so grateful for all the work that Sadie Campbell puts into this organization. We are just really indebted to you, madam, and we thank you for pouring yourself into this organization so that we can all benefit and learn. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for coming. Thanks for the support, and I look forward to working with everybody. Everybody.
Hi, Dr. Bonner.
And go have some good dinner now.
Yes.
Dr. Bonner.
Yes.
I think you heard of the Abeng Book Club.
No.
Okay. There is the Abeng Book Club, which is part of the International Consortium of Caribbean Professionals. We'd like to have you come and read your book to us, but we'll talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Wonderful evening to all. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't picking up myself all night. I was just loving on all of you. And so I thank you for the rewards at the end of the night. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
You're welcome.
And I don't have the doctorate yet. I'm still.
Just claim it when you get it.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I'll get one over there at one of these days. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Good night.
Okay, good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Miss Delia, remember.
Good night to you.
Miss Delia, remember to save the chat because we have some action items on there. Persons ask questions and so on. If you could save the time. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
You saved it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrian.
Yeah, thank you. Is that Yvonne?
Yes. I saw the notice late.
All right. That's all right. We're glad you came anyway.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. You were wonderful.
Thank you.
Really nice. I learned so much.
Me too. Me too. Me too. It was a big history classroom today. This is
tell you, man. Tell you. Mr. Irwin, you don't have anything to say?
Wait, Irwin.
Irwin.
He's probably on his program.
Irwin.
Irwin, been quiet. I don't know. He's
Irwin, I don't know.
On the radio.
It's on the radio
now. He's probably on radio.
Yeah, he's doing his program.
Yeah, he's doing his program.
All right.
All right. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Night.
It's still there. Well, they're in the
same. What's there?
Night, Andreen.
Hi, darling. Who that?
Miss Sadie.
Sadie. Bye, Sadie.
Yes. Sorry about the mask.
Oh, tomorrow night. Tomorrow. No. Oh, no. That's just. Oh, today's what?
Sunday.
Never mind. Okay.
Mr. Atkinson, thank you for joining us. Anthony Atkinson.
Thank you for what?
Mr. Atkinson, down in North Carolina, I think.
Yeah, I don't know Anthony Atkinson. No, I don't know. But that's all right. We'll introduce ourselves. All right, Hyacinth Bloomfield. I see Miss Bloomfield. Nice to see her. Yes. All right. I'm hungry.
I'm going to get me a virtual plate of oxtail and rice and peas.
You're too wicked and bad. Go on, both. Keep on eating. I'm really hungry. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, Sadie.
Bye, Miss Joan. Hi, Miss Joan. Beautiful Joan.
Yeah, Miss Joan the beautiful.
Miss Joan the beautiful. You're muted. I like your Santa Claus behind you.
Night, Madam Prez.
Night is who that? Is that the elder?
I am your only friend.
Yes, I know.
Hi, Elder Jose.
Hi, how are you, my daughter?
I am well. I am well.
That's good. That's good. Make sure you keep the boss in line, okay?
No, she keeps me in line. I do whatever she says.
All right. All right.
Oh my.
Take care. Good night.
Okay.
So this thing there keep